From downtown Macon, this is WGXA News live on YouTube.
Good evening, Middle Georgia. I'm Amanda Peralta.
And I'm Greg Lloyd. Amanda and I are thrilled to have you with us for WGXA News at 5:30. Now, we do start off with very serious news. We are monitoring breaking news right now in Macon, where a standoff has been ongoing for the last 2 hours.
Our Gloria Ruth Finney is live along Laurel Avenue with what we know right now. Gloria Ruth.
Greg and Amanda, I'm here in North Highlands on Laurel Avenue. I've been back and forth here today. Right now, the SWAT team is packing up and headed back to their cars. What started off earlier this afternoon as a welfare check has led to the bomb unit, the SWAT team, and the gang unit showing up here in full force. What I know so far is that a young man down the street had barricaded himself inside with a gun. Neighbors tell me that they have heard 2 gunshots just a little while ago down the street, and that young man is no longer alive. That's all I know for right now, but I'll be sure to update you after I talk to law enforcement and learn more. Reporting live in Macon, Gloria Ruth Finney, WGXA News.
Another super hot day across Middle Georgia, and I will be the first to say I was out doing interviews today and reporting, and it was hot today.
It was hot today. You just had to open the door and start sweating, but meteorologist Ryan Miranda joins us now. Ryan, I understand we just better get used to it.
Oh, I don't want to get used to it. I'm going to be counting down the days until we're finally into fall and winter, because I'm so tired of this. Outside looking at it, it looks beautiful today, but in the air conditioning, it's nice. When you're actually outside, it is just sweltering and unbearable. Currently 95 degrees in Macon. When you factor in the humidity, widespread triple digits, it feels like 105 right now in Macon, 109 in Roberta, 101 in Mount Vernon. It feels like 105 in Milledgeville, and it's not going anywhere really for the next 4 days. Tomorrow, we're up to 103 for the feels like temperature. Thursday might not be too bad, but it's still going to be hot for Friday and into Saturday. Sunday is finally the day where we're knocking things down to more seasonable levels, so really counting down the next 4 days. So we do have weather warn days that are set in place for the next 4. What this means is we still are expecting the temperatures to be very hot, air temperatures nearing that 100-degree mark. We have a heat advisory in effect for the rest of today, but those feels like temperatures will be exacerbating that heat up near 110. I'll talk about more when the cooler weather arrives coming up in the full Skywatch weather forecast. Greg, Amanda?
We certainly don't need to exacerbate that heat. It's bad enough. Now's a great time to download that WGXA weather app to keep track of those high temperatures. Just scan the QR code on your screen and it'll download straight to your smart device. Ryan's back in less than 20 minutes with your 10-day forecast. Well, today, Bleckley County law enforcement entered a new chapter of leadership as its interim sheriff was sworn in today.
It comes a day after the resignation of Chris Cootie, who pleaded guilty yesterday to sexual battery against TV Judge Glenda Hatchett.
Well, today, our Brianna Cook brings us more from Judge Hatchett on the assault and its impact on her.
It was a very emotional day for Judge Glenda Hatchett as she retold the story of what happened to her the night the sexual assault took place.
Never felt so helpless in my entire life.
TV Judge Glenda Hatchett spoke just hours after former Bleckley County Sheriff Christopher Cootie pled guilty to sexual battery. Hatchett recounted the incident that took place during a 2022 Georgia Sheriff Association event in Cobb County.
He grabbed my left breast, he squeezed it, he then started rubbing on my breast until Thomas Brown intervened. I pressed charges the next morning. I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. I even went to a dinner that Wednesday night. Thursday morning, I could not get out of bed.
Cootie faces probation, community service, and a fine. He resigned as sheriff effective on Monday. His plea closes the case almost 2 years later. Hatchett believes delays in the case were intentional.
20 months that they have manipulated the system with delays after delays after delays, in my opinion, so that he could hold on to not only his salary, but his pension.
Hatchett also called out Georgia Governor Brian Kemp for not suspending Cootie, even after protests took place in front of the state capitol last October. According to WGXA News Archive, the governor's office said they could not suspend Cootie because the crime happened at an off-duty location.
I think the governor could have made an important statement, as I was talking about earlier, that spoke to this and the impropriety of this. And for the governor's office to issue a statement saying that they weren't going to do anything because he was not on duty is absurd. It's ludicrous.
She says she understands what it feels like to be a victim now and will continue to stand up for others.
People have to be accountable. And the judge said to me before I left the court today, I hope that you will continue to speak up. And that is what I will do. That is what this law firm will do. That is what others who are in this fight day in and day out will do. Because we must be the voice for the voiceless.
Cootie was sentenced to 12 months probation, a $500 fine, and 40 hours of community service. Hatchett says she believes justice was served. Reporting in Blakely County, Brianna Cook, WGXA News.
Thank you so much, Brianna. Now, continuing coverage from Gordon, where the police chief and his assistant chief are still on leave.
It's been almost a month since the two were taken off duty, but they now know when they'll learn their fate.
Our Gloria Ruth Finney spoke with the city attorney after the city council set a September hearing for the pair.
Y'all should be ashamed of your dang selves.
Alicia Floyd showed up to tonight's Gordon City Council meeting with signs in hand showing her support of Gordon Police Chief Mike Hall and Assistant Police Chief Andy Hester. On July 27th, WGXA was there when Mayor April Adside Smith spoke exclusively with us, confirming Hester and Hall were under investigation. They had been named in a notice of intent to sue by a church pastor. Soon after, Hall and Hester were placed on leave.
Someone could pull me over and I didn't like the way they treated me. I could sue them, but that doesn't mean they were in the wrong.
While the council met privately during executive session, members Terry Eady and George Wynn exited early, vocally upset about what was happening inside. Those waiting outside said they were expecting the two officers to be fired earlier tonight, despite their hope for the officers' return to regular duty.
We will be out here with our picket signs.
After returning from executive session, Councilmember Rodney Evans made a motion for Hall and Hester to have a hearing September 18th. City Attorney James Green says that hearing will be to determine a course of disciplinary action.
Be able to try to, talk to the council and give them their side of the story. Council will hear all evidence and then make a decision as to, like I said, what disciplinary action, if any, to take after that.
Until then, hostility remains in Gordon.
I'm speaking to my attorney.
Okay.
You want your job, need to back down a little bit. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Who's making threats now?
Nah.
It's a crisis in the classroom as Bibb County schools say chronic absences among students is harming academic performance.
A new report shows over a quarter of Bibb County students missed 10% or more of the last school year, which means they were chronically absent.
It was a hot button topic in the recent Board of Education meeting during a report on student performance in the Georgia Milestone standardized testing. Although some modest improvements were seen in test scores, the board acknowledged that there's room for improvement and that absences remain a challenge.
The school district plans to review attendance protocol, identify the reasons children are missing school, explore ways to engage parents and guardians to promote school attendance. They also plan for schools seeing higher numbers of chronic absenteeism to collaborate with schools who do not see as much to compare approaches.
Georgia's ban on gender-affirming care for transgender youth has been temporarily blocked. A federal judge ordered state officials to stop enforcing a key provision of the SB 140 law. It bars licensed medical professionals in Georgia from providing patients under the age of 18 with cross-sex hormone therapy. The judge says that is likely unconstitutional. She said her order will remain in effect pending trial or until further order of the court. According to the complaint, the legal challenge was brought in late June by 4 transgender youth in the state, their families, and an advocacy group. None of the minors behind the lawsuit have started the therapy, though they all plan to begin treatment at some point in the future.
Now we're taking a live look right now outside the Fulton County Jail this evening, where former President Trump is planning to surrender to authorities on Thursday in the state's election subversion case. He confirmed the plans in a post on Truth Social Monday. Trump was charged last week alongside 18 of his allies, and so far, John Eastman and Scott Hall have shown up to be processed on election interference charges. They're accused of trying to overturn the 2020 election results in Georgia. The former president's bond was set at $200,000. Trump and his co-defendants were given until this Friday to voluntarily surrender to Georgia authorities.
We're just over 24 hours from the first presidential debate and getting a better look at what we can expect. And the focus could very much be on the candidate who's not attending.
Scott Thuman is on the ground in Milwaukee, Wisconsin tonight with exclusive coverage.
Well, the biggest headline may not be who's here, but rather who is not here. The frontrunner, Donald Trump, choosing not to attend and instead try to draw focus away from the debate and to a pre-recorded interview he's doing with former Fox host Tucker Carlson. Either way, it will have a significant impact on what happens here in Milwaukee. Call it round one in what's likely to be a long political slugfest, the first GOP debate. But it'll be missing the party's most prominent presidential contender.
Everyone can see the stunning contrast between our incredible success and Joe Biden's horrendous failures, and that's one reason why we're leading so big in the polls.
Most Republicans, 74%, do say they would support Trump in a general election. But the stage will be filled with those trying to change that and maybe shift some of the focus.
We'll be ready. I mean, I think that with Donald Trump not being there, I don't think it's any secret that I'm going to be probably the guy that people are going to come after, whether it's the Biden-Harris administration, the liberal media, and then a lot of these other candidates.
With Trump's currently massive lead, is the debate shaping up to be a race to be number two? Either way, two very different strategies are already playing out. Attack Trump.
The front runner for our party's nomination is going to be out on bail in 4 different jurisdictions.
Or cozy up to the current leader.
The reason I don't want to criticize Trump is because everybody else are doing plenty good job of making up attacks that shouldn't even exist. Prosecutors across this country charging cases that should have never been brought. So I don't care to pile on with those criticisms.
Speaking of those charges, Trump now says he'll turn himself into authorities for his arrest in Atlanta on Thursday, which means it'll probably take away from a lot of that traditional post-debate coverage we're so used to seeing. In Milwaukee, I'm Scott Thuman.
A new strain could be developing between the United States and Mexico.
Melanie Torre explains what's causing the trouble.
No cameras were allowed in the courtroom where a federal judge heard testimony that these buoys adversely impact U.S.-Mexico relations because Mexico sees them as a treaty violation. There was also testimony from a U.S. Corps of Army Engineers employee who said these buoys may violate the Rivers and Harbors Act and not only impede human movement, but vessel movement too.
Texans living on the southern border drove up to Austin to speak out against Operation Lone Star and what they've seen.
Dehydrated individuals denied water in extreme heat. Small children being pushed back into the river.
What I see is families fleeing desperate situations.
Robbie Flores says she's not an activist or a politician. She grew up in Eagle Pass and says people who haven't been there don't understand what a special place border towns are.
We've seen Border Patrol and Customs effectively secure our home our entire lives. And yes, the border needs security. No one is here talking about open borders. But what they're showing you isn't it.
Texas State Senator Roland Gutierrez, who recently announced his candidacy for U.S. Senate, is calling on the federal government to once and for all fix a broken immigration system.
We need to do a stay in your country of origin policy where they go to a consulate, go to a Department of Labor kiosk and find themselves an opportunity to get a job in the United States. That's a whole new outside the box thinking about our immigration program in the United States.
Monday, Governor Greg Abbott joined other states' governors at the border.
Let me be clear. We are fully authorized by the Constitution of the United States of America to do exactly what we are doing, and that is to secure the border.
The judge hearing this case says it isn't about political questions or whether Texas has an illegal immigration problem. He says he's focused strictly on whether these buoys impede a navigable waterway and whether or not the governor has the authority to put them there. The judge's decision isn't expected until next week at the absolute earliest. In Austin, Texas, reporting, I'm Melanie Torrey.
This dangerous heat wave continues due to a very strong heat dome that's bringing us a lot of heat. Air temperatures right now doesn't look too bad. Currently 95 in Macon, 96 in Roberta, and 97 degrees in McRae. Although when you factor in the sweltering humidity that we have, it really raises up those feels-like temperatures. It feels like 114 in Forsyth, 113 in Fort Valley, 105 down in McRae, and it feels like 102 right now in Dublin. And this heat really isn't going to be letting up for the next 4 days. So we have weather warn days in place through Saturday for the very hot temperatures. Air temps ranging from 95 to 103 for areas south and east of Macon. We have a heat advisory in effect for the rest of today, although we could see more for the rest of this week. But when you factor in the humidity, feels like temperatures will be from 105 to 110. So really good idea to be staying cool over the next 4 days. Not a great idea to do any strenuous outdoor activities. So here's the actual numbers for the feels like temperatures. Up to 104 tomorrow. Thursday doesn't look to be too bad, but it'll still be very hot. Friday and Saturday, we're still up into that dangerous category. That's when we'll likely see more heat alerts in place. Sunday is finally the day where we begin to get more down to seasonable levels. We've got really the next 4 days to get through before some actual August heat's on the way. So temps right now, 95 degrees in Macon, 98 in Forsyth, 94 in Edenton, and 95 in Hawkinsville. But we really do have a lot of this triple-digit heat that's out there. So for the day tomorrow, it's a day like today. You wake up with temperatures feeling like they're in the mid to upper 70s, but by lunchtime, that feels like temperature already feeling like 98. And we'll have several hours in the afternoon tomorrow with that dangerous category. Feels like temperatures right around 105. Also, what's heating up is the tropics right now. We've got 3 storms that we're still keeping an eye on. Gert right now is a post-tropical cyclone, so not having to worry about that one anymore. Harold did make landfall this morning in South Texas. That is bringing some flooding rains to areas in Corpus Christi. Still making landfall right now as it heads further west towards San Antonio and into the northern portions of Texas. But also Franklin right now, it's a bit disorganized, but still a tropical storm. This is going to be heading north over the next 12 to 24 hours, bringing some flooding rains potentially to the Dominican Republic and Haiti, then moving into the open waters of the Atlantic and likely becoming our second hurricane this season as a Category 1 storm. Not going to be impacting us, though, here in middle Georgia. Back here at home, though, for the rest of the site, it's a sweltering night, down to only 76 degrees for the overnight low. So even tonight, we're really not going to get a lot of heat relief. And in your 10-day forecast, weather warn days continue for the next 4 days. Really, what we like to see when we have this high heat is some rain. We don't have a lot of rain to really be falling, so we're just really going to have to deal with bright sunshine and high heat up to 99 tomorrow. Thursday, we're still hot up to 98 degrees. Friday and Saturday, temperatures potentially hitting that century mark. 101 on Saturday looks to be the hottest. Then things finally begin to cool back down for next week. 94 on Sunday with a few PM storms. Those rain chances become back up. Some scattered storms next Monday and Tuesday. Seasonable temperatures in the mid to low 90s. So lastly, here's your Harrison's Body Shop Fishing Game forecast. Peaks at 6:20 a.m. and 7:40 p.m. Greg, Amanda.
New flags will soon be flying in the international city.
The Warner Robins Rotary Club presenting a check this morning to bring the city some more patriotic flair to local roads. The $1,600 check is going to buy more American flags to be displayed along Watson Boulevard and Russell Parkway, 2 major roadways in the area. Retired General Jim Seahorn spearheaded the fundraising efforts because he wants the city to have new flags.
Nice to go up and down the streets and see the American flag anytime, but to know that we help buy new ones and are not frayed and falling apart makes us even feel better.
The flags will be put out for special holidays throughout the year. Well, WGXA wants to help Central Georgia families struggling with diaper access this summer. As a part of our local Sinclair Cares initiative, we're hosting our summer diaper drive to help out local families. You can make a difference simply by scanning the QR code on your screen to make a monetary donation, or you can head to one of 7 donation bins found inside Kroger locations across Middle Georgia and in Macon at Vineville Baptist Church to drop off diapers. All proceeds will stay local and benefit the Colby Center right here in Macon.
Well, a heartwarming moment caught on camera between 2 news personalities in Chattanooga on Monday when Local 3 news reporter Riley Nagel popped the question to his favorite colleague, Local 3 News anchor and reporter Cornelia Nicholson. Let's take a look.
And coming up right now, we have the story of 2 young journalists who just so happen to find love in the same industry. Local 3's Riley Nagel joins us in the studio with a special report.
That is right, Cornelia. I do have a very special report for people at home who maybe don't know. Cornelia and I met in news back in Montana at our news station almost 4 years ago. And when I first met you, I was very drawn to you. And you have such an amazing personality, and you're so bright, and you always light up the room when you come in and make everyone laugh, and you're incredibly talented, especially in news. I think anyone who watches you knows that. And you're one of the reasons, or pretty much the main reason I'm still in news today, and you're always pushing me to be better, and in news and in other aspects of my life. And I thought it'd be fitting to ask you this question here, since we met in news. Cornelia Nicholson.
I'm gonna cry.
Would you marry me?
I'm gonna cry, yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
I gotta put it on?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm kind of shaking.
Me too.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you too. Come here.
That part would kill me.
What a beautiful couple.
Oh, I know.
I love that. I absolutely love it. I am so just obsessed with that story right there.
I
now,
know.
now,
That ring, though?
Yeah.
Girl,
Ring.
Cornelia, you did a good job saying yes.
Well, I feel guilty because I'm going to tell you one of the things I was thinking, should we all be working in Chattanooga? Because I don't know what they're making. But for him to afford that rock, that was a serious ring.
That was a serious.
But
That was sweet, though. I like that,
Diamond.
you know, it started in a newsroom, and that he kind of like also like solidified it, I guess, in a newsroom or in a studio.
Just a great couple.
I think I would just be so nervous because I'm definitely so shy about things like that I think
I would be
I
nervous.
would propose, I'd be like,
Yeah.
my God, what's happening?
to do it in public, you know, I was thinking I wouldn't have the guts to propose in public because I'm thinking they can always say no to you now. Your girl could say no, your guy could say no.
Oh my God.
But
I would never leave my
I'm
house
so
ever
glad
again.
she didn't say no. But that would
I'm
be a
happy I'm
fear
a
of
girl and
mine.
I'm the one that gets proposed
But what
to.
would you guys think about that? Would you have that fear that
No,
your significant other says no to you?
I know. I wouldn't really want
that's
to.
That's not really a concern for a woman because
Really?
I would never get down on one knee. So.
Yeah, but what about the guy you say no to who did, though? I wonder.
I'm not gonna
would you
lie.
like it?
If a man proposes
Yeah.
to me and we have not spoken about getting married, and I say no, that's on you. We didn't talk
Now
about
that
it.
I agree with.
What is going on?
Boy, I
I'm
tell
just
you.
saying. I'm not gonna say yes just because I have to.
Gosh, this is fun. We could talk about this all night.
We
This is
could.
good. This is good stuff. All right, well, that's going to do it for WGXA News at 5:30 and our relationship advice.
Exactly.
We obviously don't have great advice. We invite you to join us at 6 on ABC 16.
Like and subscribe. Bye.